Yo, what is going on, everybody? This your boy Sean, aka Puff Comics 83, and me and VV are back. We just got done with Halloween yesterday, so happy late Halloween for all y'all.
And now the real horror comes.
Yes, the real horror comes. This is November 1st, and here in the United States, we are a few days away from Election Day. Harris versus Trump, all the nonsense. To be honest, I cannot wait for this shit to get over with because I'm sick and tired of the emails, the text messages. Oh, you voting for this or you voting for that? It's been so crazy over this last month, man. I was like, can we just get past this? Because I'm sick of the election years. I hate it.
Yeah, even out of the US, yeah, I'm doing well. But I guess even out of the US, it's like, it's like stop asking. I'm not even American. Like, I don't like. And it was like either today between this movie or Alien versus Predator, because Alien versus Predator has the wonderful tagline: "Whoever wins, you lose."
Yeah, that's always the case. Like, and I just skip by it. You know, when comic community members just post their politics and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't want to see this shit in my feed. Let me just keep scrolling.
Yeah, you know? I'm also unmuting some accounts. It's just because I do think everybody has the right to have their political opinion. Everybody has the right and should have the right to voice their political opinion, but everybody else also has the right to ignore it.
Exactly. You know, I can't tell people how to run their account. So if they want to post that stuff, hey, fine, good for you. I'll just keep scrolling. Yeah.
And I don't have any problem when people say what they believe in. Just at that point, when they try to want to tell other people what they should believe in or vote, then for me, like, that's an unfolded reason.
And we all know when it comes to politics, all it does is divide.
Exactly, and I think that's the most important message out there. Does not matter who you're voting for. Like, you have the right to vote for whoever you want to. In America, in every other democratic country. But nothing, no vote, no political opinion is worth getting into a fight or is worth to risk a friendship, to risk family. It's just, we all have opinions, and the thing about democracy is that it shows what a majority of the people, especially like in the US, because I think you have like a direct system, and we in Europe, of course, we have different parties, so it's way more crazy when they, as we have it right now here, that they can't agree on who can work together with who, which is a whole other different chaotic thing. But the thing is, I'm a monarchist. I think democracy is bullshit. I think that no decisions of this sort should be laid in the hand of everyday people. But that's my opinion. But I don't hate anybody that says, hey, they like democracy. It's just at the end of the day, we just hopefully don't kill each other. I hope we're past that at this point.
And that's the thing. Some people can put it behind them. Some people can have civilized, intelligent conversations without going into irrational arguments.
Yeah.
And then you have those that just need to constantly fight. When you see somebody post a political comment on social media and immediately it's like 500 plus replies, there's going to be a lot of words saying.
Yeah. And the thing is, suddenly, in the US, they throw words around. They have a pop cultural understanding of, but not a real grasp on it. Calling people like the N-word that is not race related but political related.
And it's funny because in this movie, the N-word was used at the most unexpected time. Yeah. And I'm like, wait, what? When I first I saw this movie, I was like, what was the point? And then it dawned on me, like, oh, now I get why.
Yeah, because it's you know, it's so hilarious, especially in the US when you throw it around like candies. And when I'm thinking, you know, I'm 41 years old. When I was a kid, the grandparents and everybody, they were still N-words. So like you grew up with them, and like and then you get a whole different understanding of a society where a lot of people with very extreme political opinions still make it work somehow.
So the film today, Idiocracy. This is a movie we've been wanting to talk about for a long time, because one of the things about this film is not only the subject matter of the world getting stupid. And I want to preface by saying, well, I don't want to say the world gets stupid, because the one thing the movie doesn't show is outside of America. So we really don't know what it's like. Life on the other countries might still be intelligent. They might still have some sane, rational comments, whereas America's stupid as hell.
Maybe North Korea is like having his golden era or something. Who knows?
But this movie is solely placed in America, and my God, you watch this film and you realize, like, man, if this happened, you just take me out. I can't be in this. I cannot be in a world where everybody is stupid.
Exactly. I do think that of course it's a comedy. It's very much a hyperbole, so everything is over the top. Like, this is a movie, the moment you start thinking about how could such a world exist, everything begins to fall apart. Because as our world, of course, is structured, we have like a rise and fall of empires. And the US at this point is very much of the end stage of an empire. And when one empire falls, you know, there's always somewhere a country that is poorer, that has more hunger, and that is younger. So then they will begin to rise until they fall. Of course, this is also like a theory which different people have different opinions about, but I do believe, as a historian, as somebody who studied history, that we adapted like very much like a hamster wheel system. That is not natural, but we basically locked ourselves into it, in this like rise and fall of empires and rise and fall of systems. And it would take something like to break the hamster wheel to get something different, but I still think like deep down in humanity that this is something that people are very comfortable still with. So I don't think that the world of Idiocracy could be in such a state, because if the US would really be at this point, then it would fall apart like in different small districts, and probably then you have like maybe South America is conquering North America or something. So of course it's like not a realistic movie at all. However, it is a very fantastic. It's like an average comedy. It's a really funny comedy. It's not the best comedy ever made. It's not the worst comedy ever made, but it delivers so many talking points of problems that the people have been aware for hundreds of years. Some of them that people got aware in the early 2000s, especially like with like the advertisements and the power like of the power of brands, etc. So so this movie gives so many talking points that are more relevant today than they even were when this movie came out. And this is why this movie always gets referenced again. Terry Crews. Every time this U.S. election, he goes back into the role of President Camacho. And the thing is, I think what the most realistic thing, what this movie predicted, is like the entertainment of politics.
Mm-hmm.
Especially at the Republican thing they hosted. I don't know, like the conference or something, and Hulk Hogan came out in character.
In character.
And these are like things that teenage me, young me would have never thought. You laugh about it. Oh, the US, they're like all about entertainment. But to think that this actually, unironically, would be part of a political campaign.
But what if Hogan had to go against 5-time SmackDown champ Camacho?
That would have been more. Yeah, well, that would have been basically WWE promos.
Hey, I need to see an alternate world where Hulk Hogan versus Jesse Ventura for political race.
Yeah. Oh, that would be amazing. That actually I would
remember Jesse Ventura was the governor of Minnesota.
Yeah, I know. Like it's and Jesse Ventura. Like he's also believing in some things that he had a conspiracy theory. He's an intelligent person. He's also very much. It sounds so harsh, but he's very much a product of America. It sounds harsher than actually want to say, but that's how we from outside the US like see it, only in America.
Only in America. Made in America, only in America.
Yeah. Still love Hulk Hogan. I hope he makes it to 100 plus. I really want, in 20 years, if Hulk Hogan is still around, for him to tell a story about that year. Because as we know with Hulk, it's gonna sound very much different than what probably in the future he's gonna be there as and then I stopped the shooter from hitting Trump.
That whole thing was crazy with the whole Trump getting shot in the air and stuff.
Yeah, this is things that can you can't make them up, and it's and then it's of course then you hear people it's always divine intervention. It's no, it was just really it was really a lot of luck. Because it doesn't matter who, it's wrong to assassinate somebody, and I don't know if the CIA needs to hear this, but it's wrong to assassinate people. I should. I have all the windows shut down, so no chance of snipers here right now.
Well, let's dive into this film. Yeah. One thing I love is the narration throughout the film.
Yeah.
The opening scene that shows you got a family of intelligent people, and then you got a family of dumb rednecks that spawn so many people.
Also, shout out to Al. Everybody check his Instagram. He just opened a GoFundMe page to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been on Instagram. Not much. So I gotta check it out.
Hope you're doing well, Al.
Great to see you, man.
See ya.
But yeah, the opening set narration was fantastic. It showed the different styles, and you had one couple that couldn't procreate, and they're kind of sniping each other left and right. And then you got the wild backwoods hillbilly couple. They spawning all these idiots. And they say that the more kids you have, the more, the less IQ they're gonna have, because they're gonna take it from their family. So
the fun thing is that this actually, this is like a culture theory. This actually have been proven wrong, because this was something that in the Austria, in the, I think it was either the late 19th or the early 20th century, where there was like the theory of the bastardization of Europe, that more and more people having like kids out of marriage, and basically it's like there's bastards everywhere and society will fall down, etc. The thing is, we are lucky living in a time with a very long peacetime, but usually like in the past, with a war, you got rid of the stupid people because you were sending them to the front. So basic humanity does the culling all all every few decades like themselves, always sending the poor and uneducated to war. And which is not funny, but it is so ridiculous and so sad that the only thing you can do is either crawl somewhere and cry or laugh. I choose to laugh.
I guarantee you all those kids end up becoming garbage men. Because it started the garbage war, where garbage is dumped everywhere. Everywhere.
Which is another sad thing, is... nowadays, of course, we always have everything should be green, and I am totally for dividing the trash. Recycling it's in generally very important, also in terms of making the best out of the resources. And for paper, it actually works quite well. But King of the Hill is fantastic. But when you look at the plastic, in a lot of cases, they could recycle plastic technically, but it's way more cheaper to sell the trash to Africa. So a lot of African countries are buying all the trash world, and they have actually a situation like in Idiocracy where they have towers of trash. Some countries even are getting very creative with it. I forget if it's Ghana or Nigeria, that they're buying so much tech trash that you have actually a lot of tech-savvy youth there that are building something with it. But that's the other thing, of course, when you see and especially in the US, when you have the green diversity, recycling it and just selling the trash to Africa. Which enough is it's very sad, and you can only roll somewhere and cry or laugh. And that's why I say, laugh, because at the end we're living in a fucking satire.
We are sadly becoming said satire.
Yeah.
Or even already there. So it's all the satires that we saw over the last 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years, they're this shit happen in real life. And
it's either comedy or it is a tragedy.
And then
you choose.
And it goes to when we say when Trump gets shot in the air, and the whole imagery of him throwing his fist up with the flag being there, that feels so scripted.
I know, I know it was not scripted, but sometimes you really think, in South Park, is there an alien race somewhere that is Earth is a TV show or something? Because it doesn't matter what you think about Trump, but that was such a boss move. I really don't think, in a movie you need to have 10 cameras, you need to have 5 or more takes to get this right. Here is just one missed, one luckily missed. Sadly it hit somebody else. Sadly it hit anybody, because don't kill people. Come on. and then like, you know, of course, like it's instinct because like in the situation you complain, it's like an instinct, and Trump in the moment, like he did everything right. Like this was such a boss move, and I think this was actually when his whole campaign really got going. Which, of course, once more I want to say, is not an endorsement for either party. Like I said in the beginning, it's like whoever wins, you lose.
Yeah, sadly, man. But yeah, like everything that this movie set up at the beginning, and then old poor Joe gets dragged out of his comfy librarian position in the army, where nobody bothers him. All of a sudden, they need him for a special mission.
To everybody, get yourself a job like that. Perfect. Except for when you do experiments on you. But I'd like to be like a librarian, like in a very, get a job where you can make comfortable money, and basically people leave you alone.
It's the best job. Yes. It's a job where you ain't got to deal with nobody.
Yes. Like I'm so happy working home office. I only have to deal with my boss, and my boss is awesome.
I don't have to deal with bosses. I work by myself. They took away my partner. It's like, damn, every time I get a good partner, they take him away.
That sounded very hard. They took him away.
They took him away, and you know what they say? I'm working by myself. I'm working around all this metal and stuff. So here's what we're gonna do, Sean. Here's this button. Here's this little thing. Push the button. The medics will arrive. So I'm like, I'm on life alert.
It's like it sounded. It took him away, like they snatched him in lunch break.
But there's a reason why they took him away, because day shift is fucking terrible. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. And when you have incompetence, they need somebody that's good. Mm-hmm. So this movie really shows why it's hard to work with people when people aren't smart enough to do their jobs.
And the sad thing, especially about democracies, I do think that on a regional level, at a small level, there are people in either political party that want to make things better for their community. The problem is like that they stay there, and the stupid people are basically sent into like the how to call it in America, like when it's like for all the states. So basically, you got
top level, man.
Yeah, you get promoted because people want to get rid of you on the low level when you actually really are in touch with people.
Hey, speaking of wanting to get a promotion, that man Collins, he got a piece of that pimp life, and he fell in love.
Yeah, he made his partnership with Upgrade.
You see, a pimp's love is very different than that of a square. And it's like, right when he said that, I want to hear the rest of his story.
He didn't leave out anything in his PowerPoint presentation.
Bro, he about ready to get into the whole thing, and they said, Collins, move on to important stuff. He's like, okay. And then he hit the slide. It's all pictures of him in Upgrade, played by Scarface, Brad Johnson. Shout out to the Ghetto Boys. But it's him in Upgrade, living that pimp lifestyle, and the last image you see is him dressed up like a pimp.
Yeah. And of course, that is what got him arrested, and people forgot about this project. And so instead of 1 year of hibernation, it became 500 years. 500 years.
because they drag our boy Joe, played by Luke Wilson, and they dragged in another female who was played by Maya Rudolph, and it's like, oh man, she's a prostitute, because she was Upgrade's a woman.
Yeah, because they wanted to test it like on the most average people.
Yeah, so they got Rita, who was Upgrade's prostitute, and they got Joe. So they were the people that they used this hibernation thing on. And unfortunately, Collins got arrested because he was living that pimp life and he went too far with it. And this is the thing, it's like, you got this top secret building with the hibernation chamber, and they just demolishing in it. They just said, yeah, we shutting this down. I'm like, wait a minute now. You mean to tell me that this top secret agency by the military is getting mowed down and nobody's even thinking about what's inside it? Like, already, right before stupidity hits, y'all put the stupid.
This is actually something, the more realistic part of the whole thing is actually that, maybe new people in charge, like, we just want to forget about this. Of course, like, the other thing is, like, how did survive there without, like, proper energy? But it's like that. But like, it's like I said, don't think too much. Just go with it.
It's just mind-boggling that they would demolish the place, all because one guy got caught up in that pimp love.
Yeah. The other interesting thing about this movie as a whole is, because I read that in the US it was like released very silently.
Yeah.
Like not with a lot of marketing.
Fox was ashamed of it.
Yeah, Fox was ashamed of it. Of course, you have like Costco in it, like Starbucks, not represented the best way.
Welcome to Costco's. I love you.
When this movie came out here, I was in business school back then, and I remember everybody was talking about it. Like there were a lot of promotions here, which I believe, which of course is just my assumption, that back in 2006, was it 2005? Back then, there were like no Starbucks here. I mean, there's still no Costco here, but I think all the brands mentioned were like not a thing in Europe. So they couldn't offend any brands here. So actually here they had like a bigger marketing campaign.
So I hope you didn't think that if you go to Starbucks, you get a hand job.
Full body. Maybe the next time when I'm in Vienna, the Starbucks.
But it's crazy how much brands that they had in there. And another thing, after the whole garbage fell over and the whole hyperbolic chamber got released and Joe comes to the world, he falls into the house of Frito. Now think of that name, Frito-Lay.
Frito Pendeo.
You got Frito-Lays and Pandero. So it's like already corporate names merging together. And what is he watching on TV? Ow, my balls. The Ow, my balls is a representation of what we fell into with everybody wanting to do comedy on social media. If you really think of it, you look at it, it's like now everybody doing comedy. It's not just sitcom TVs.
Yeah.
Now everybody on social media is doing these comedy stuff.
I think this actually goes back to that one Simpson episode with the movie festival in Springfield, when the mole man like had this video with the football in the balls. Hey, Kenneth, thanks for joining. But yeah, it was like, I remember that was actually when I stopped watching TV. When MTV had all this bullshit, everything we started with Jackass and
MTV moved so far away from music and started doing more reality shows to the point where it's like it's not even about music no more.
That was actually the point. I think the whole downfall of society can be brought to the point when MTV stopped doing music videos and going for the Crash TV, just the stupid stuff, and which of course Mike Judge, the director and creative mind behind Idiocracy, very much news because he's also the creative mind behind Beavis and Butthead.
And somebody said that Idiocracy is what will happen if Beavis and Butthead had ruled the country.
Which actually is funny because Beavis and Butthead to America, I think, is even a better movie than Idiocracy.
Yes. but this movie, like, and another thing is when Frito was watching TV, you see all the screens. Every screen.
Ads.
All the screens, all the ads and stuff like that. And I've always said, the more I gotten older and you start seeing all this stuff on the TV screen, it's nothing but distractions. That's all it is. It's distractions to take you away from what's the focus on TV. You got all these ads, you got all these product placements, all these things, the scroller that tells you underneath, you know, what's going to happen within the next hour or so. All these are distractions from the whole point of what the original video was trying to take, because like you can't focus on one thing. You got to focus on all of these distractions.
And this was also the point in my life, not only when I stopped watching TV, but when I started to collect physical media. Because I couldn't deal with this. Like, even as a teenager back then, I was so offended by the mere concept of a TV channel trying to tell me what to watch.
And YouTube is getting worse with their ads. Like, now they're forcing you to sit through almost an entire section of ads just before you skip it.
Well, I have Privacy Badger on, and the ad block in combination works very well.
I do have ad block, but you know, when I watch it on my TV, you forget about it.
Yeah, but I also recommend like the Privacy Badger, which right now, as I see, is blocking 17 tracking tries from YouTube.
But yeah, like that, the whole sequence with Frito is hilarious. You know, he throws him right out like he was garbage, throws Joe's out, and Joe sees the world for what it is. Like, he don't see the full scope of it until he goes to the doctor.
Actually, I think for that small budget they had, they really did very well portraying like this dystopian future. And even like for early 2000, the CGI doesn't suck so much.
Yeah, because and that's another good thing, is like, yeah, they use CGI in certain aspects, mainly for the monster truck battle.
Yeah.
But they don't highlight it to the point where it's overbearing.
Yes.
So props to them for knowing that, yeah, we don't have a huge budget, so let's just focus on the good stuff and use the CGI for just background fodder. And he explores the world. Carl Jr.'s is another thing. Big ass fries. You want some big ass fries? Get Carl's Jr. And it's like, I like Hardee's because Hardee's and Carl Jr. are the same. But damn, you realize that almost every male in this movie is overweight, fat, and just completely.
I actually know neither of those brands. Luckily, bro.
And it's like, yeah, no wonder they're overweight, because they eat so much of those big ass fries that they done got so big and less intelligent.
But as we know, like, there's a fries crisis because they're running out of fries.
It might be a good thing. Maybe we start eating. Hey, we need to be in that Demolition Man dystopia with Taco Bell under everything. And they serve nothing but little fruits and vegetables.
Which is so funny that this and Demolition Man depicts two different extremes of dystopian futures, and I don't want to live in neither.
Neither one of them.
I want to live in Demolition Man down in the canalization where they have the red burgers.
And it's funny, like watching this film again. I was like, it made me think of the Taco Bell that they won the fast
The
food
franchise
war.
was, which of course in Europe was won by somebody different, because nobody knew Taco Bell here, because it was Pizza Hut won the franchise wars in the out of US.
They wasn't serving pizza; it was probably plates of little vegetables.
Yeah.
But here it's just ramped up to the extreme with Carl's Jr. and
Hey, Dumb J.
welcome to Costco. I love you. Yep, I said that earlier. Costco, you can go to Costco and get your law degree.
Frito Penteo.
Frito got his law. Hey, it's funny how he comes back in when they arrest Joe and he's put on trial. And he's like, oh, we appoint you a lawyer since you have no money. And out come Frito. I'm like, you're my lawyer? Oh my God. And the courtroom scene was hilarious because
we're gonna mistrial my foot up your ass.
It shows just how bad society is, but that they can't even get the whole court system right. It's just bad.
I mean, it's not like that it was right like to begin with.
But now it's worse. Now you're automatically guilty regardless because they just can't make up their mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole sequence where Joe explores the world, he goes to the hospital, and the whole thing where you got to just put this in your mouth, you got to put this in your butt, and all this is like, what the fuck? And then it's like he sees the doctor, and the doctor's like, you know, man, you're fucked up. You talk like a fag, you're a tard, and all that. And Joe's like, what the fuck?
I love like also the beginning when he came there and the narrator said while he was like able to understand them, the moment he tried to stop back, he sounded all faggoty.
Because that's the thing with this world. If you're intelligent, they consider that stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, you talking like faggoty and stuff like that, and it's like he's talking with sense, and y'all talk like idiots. But the idiots rule the world.
I remember the time, but that was actually very spot on, like early 2000s, and you know, like I remember back then, you know, going to clubs and then just, you know, looking at society and you're like sitting in there and it's like, I just want to go home and watch WCW.
Hey, wrestling was also part of that whole downfall.
Yeah,
they showed the little picture of wrestling and stuff, and that how society needs these things to keep their entertainment values going, as opposed to like hitting the books and gaining more knowledge. Like,
but there's also
we can do it both ways. Yeah. We watch our entertainment stuff, but we also keep our intelligence on point with reading and doing research.
And I think there's also two types of wrestling fans. There's just the fans that take it way too serious.
The marks.
The marks that go to the show and everything, and where they portrayed them pretty well in Ready to Rumble. And then I think there's the people, smart marks, who very much appreciate like the history of wrestling, like the art behind the promo, like the wrestling itself. They really sees like they see it like more from behind the fourth wall, and they can, like, for me, for example, and also like I see with you, it's like we see how bullshit a lot of stuff is, but we still can appreciate like the how hilarious it is, but also very much respect the tradition of it.
I agree, because you look at their performance.
Yes.
You know, it's like actors, you know, they go out and they act for a movie, you know, like there's no sense of believability because they're there to act and perform. Just like wrestlers, they're there to act and perform.
Yeah. So, and I do still think That of course we already had, Jesse Ventura as a governor. Kane is a mayor. So
speaking, Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor of California.
yeah, he's like in the Hall of Fame. It's, I do still think, of course, maybe I think Lincoln was a wrestler, but I don't think that counts.
And
so
Ronald
much.
Reagan was an actor before he became president.
But I do still believe that before, like in the next 20, 30 years, maybe not 30, but I think in the next 20 years that The Rock is going to be president of the US.
I'm not going to put it behind him. We're going to get more and more celebrities.
And the thing is also with Elon Musk, for example, when you saw like how a certain activist part of the society, and also some more left-leaning parties were all behind him, when he had like his ideas, etc. But then when he started forming opinions, now suddenly he's like Satan himself.
Hey, Jerry Springer, Mike Judge brought him up when I watched this little clip of him talking about Idiocracy. He said, if you look at it, especially in the 90s, you saw more and more Jerry Springer's type shows on, where people highlight the dysfunction, and it's not about the intelligent conversations. Yeah, and more people wanted to see that.
And also German TV was full with it. When you had, I remember coming home from school, you put the TV on, there was like two different things. You had like talk shows, and you had court shows.
Yep.
And and then finally at 5:30, Married with Children. Then and then half an hour later, Tiny Toons. That was the good stuff.
You can't get no better than that.
Yeah. But yeah, like the afternoon you could not put TV on because it was all talk shows.
And Jerry Springer was like the king of those talk shows because people wanted to see the craziness, and we all know Vince Russo based his booking style off of Jerry Springer stuff.
Yeah, Crash TV. I also really dislike Vince Russo, but who doesn't?
So like a lot of stuff been happening for so long to the point, and Mike Judge is like, what if I would do a movie where society continues to go backwards and the minds of people gets dumber and dumber?
I wouldn't even say backwards. I think it's just more that
well, they all take a step back.
Like I always say, humanity basically runs a cycle. Because like the human itself is not very different from how he was in the medieval time. It's not much different from like the ancient time. So basically humans over thousands of history always face like the same problems. And you can totally see it. I think we saw it very well with COVID, that
the toilet paper crisis.
Yeah, not the toilet paper crisis, but when you read like the posts, etc., from any side and compare them with historic sources from the bubonic plague or from like the Spanish flu, etc., you say that people always had the same bullshit, just phrased a little bit different. So, and technology, I always say that I am pretty much a cultural pessimist. So my view on history is that in the time of ancient Greek, from a philosophy point of view, we never got higher than from the times of Aristotle, Socrates, Plato. I think for me, this is like the high of civilization in terms of knowledge. Of course, we have developed more technology since then, but I still don't think that we ever came back to that point of the importance of knowledge. My favorite kind of monarchy is the one that Plato suggests in his book The State, where you have a philosophical monarchy, basically where you have like a leading caste of philosophers, and then you have like another caste of a military that keeps the system safe, and then you have like the caste of people where everybody works a job where they're good at, which is I still think is actually the best one, and it was very well implicated. It was very well adapted actually in the remake of My Little Pony. So basically, Equestria is actually Plato's sister, and it works very well for those ponies.
Like I said earlier,
Yeah,
everybody on social media thinks they could be a comedian.
yeah, it's you know it. Uh, I mean, it's like the same on YouTube. You can with a lot of channels that start out somewhat serious, basically after 1 or 2 years you can see a lot of them just becoming a parody of themselves.
And I know we're getting off subject, but it kind of ties into all this.
It does, because I mean, basically the movie itself, like I say, the plot fits on a sheet of paper, and it's a decent comedy. But what is more important, actually, the movie, and what stuck to the movie, and why the movie still talked about, are the talking points that the movie throws at you.
Yeah, and how that you can relate them to some real life stuff, and of course, when Don talked about technology, we've talked about this multiple times. Is how the more technology we gain, the less we know what to do in certain situations. And it's like sometimes reading books is more better than just always being on these technical devices.
Yes, and I think I'm a big fan of technology. I think technology is important. However, I think as important as technology is understanding the technology. For example, AI is not the future. AI is pretty much the now. Like, it's Pandora's box is open, and Pandora's box is open, and we can't close it. So I think it's very important for people like to understand AI. Not so much, not everybody needs to be able to code. Not everybody needs to have like that knowledge behind it. But at least people should have the knowledge, like how to talk with AI and how to perceive it. Also, as we've seen, there's tons of stupid people out there, and I really fail in having empathy for anybody who wins a Darwin Award. But I don't blame like AI or the technology if people get lost in the sauce of a chatbot. Yeah. And the thing, like, then there was also say, like in the beginning of a live stream, where I say, you have two choices. Either you roll somewhere and cry, or just laugh about it. And I'm always of the opinion that you should be able to laugh about everything. And this is actually why society is getting a little better in that regard. But it was really humor-free for a few years. I never played by those rules, but I'm also luckily I'm unimportant enough to not get canceled from anything. Where should people cancel me from? But yeah, it was really like almost like a secret police state. And this is getting better, but I think there's nothing in the world that is so horrible that you should not do jokes about.
Exactly, like there's places where you can be funny with your jokes, and then there's times where especially in certain situations. I remember like starring Buck Wild on New York radio, they made fun of certain situations where like bro, it just happened and you already making a joke out of it. Like what the fuck? Sometimes it's best to not make a joke on anything that's very sensitive on certain situations. Like when Aaliyah passed away and they made a joke about that, and it's like, bro, she just passed away, and all of a sudden you want to turn that into a joke.
I do think that, of course, there are jokes that are more sensitive or insensitive to others. I do stand there. Everybody should be able to joke about everything, even when I believe it's not right, because I think it's insensitive. For example, I remember back in the day on German TV that was like one day after 9/11, and they made jokes of people jumping out of like the towers, which
I remember that.
I think was in very bad taste.
Very bad.
But I still defend the right to do it, because for me, censorship is worse than being confronted with something that goes against my opinion.
And to me, it falls on the person making the joke. They decide to do it. They know the backlash they're gonna receive.
Yeah, exactly. So, when we come also to words, a word only has so much power as we give it, and of course, the same word could totally have a different effect, depends by who speaks it and with what intent to speak it. For example, when I talk down to somebody, doesn't matter what reason, I can make any word hurtful.
Yeah, and I know those type of words, which is what we're into discussion with people. They can't handle losing an argument, so they just start going for the nasty words to try and please themselves and saying, well, you may think that you got one over on me, but no, I'm going to say all these words and stuff to hurt your feelings.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's always very superficial, as we also see in Idiocracy, when when he tries to water instead of to Gatorade the failing crops, that when it doesn't work immediately.
The Brando boss calls up.
Brando, yeah.
My stocks are dropping. Why is nobody supporting Brando?
Hey, true.
Because your shit sucks. That's why. And no but Gatorade.
Yeah, but we also see at that point immediately, how they throw around, I think he is the smartest person in the world, and blah blah blah. How they used this as an attack, and it's always people, and this is also why I'm not the biggest, why I'm a monarchist and not a fan of democracy, is because the pitchfork mentality of people. You can't make a state with that. You can't make a proper state with a pitchfork mentality. And when everybody's opinion is valid, even if it goes way beyond their knowledge of state, then it becomes a problem for the development of a state.
The pitchfork mentality in the film, when Brando's stocks dropped and everybody was furious, and it's y'all can think, literally they have the thought that Brando is everything, and this is why corporations are bad, because they warp people's mind into thinking Brando is everything. We need Brando. It has electrolytes.
I wonder how many elections in the US it's gonna take until it's people finally starting this, hey, that with the tea in the past, can we talk about
if the Brando ran for president, people will vote for it. That's Brando to this world.
I mean, let's face it, nobody should have voted for Schwarzenegger in California. He's not dumb, but he's not as smart as he thinks he is.
It's but when people don't think, they just go with what they know, and everybody knows Brando. So when Brando stocks drop, they start having the pitchfork mentality. They go after the so-called smartest guy, and I love that Joe doesn't. He like the test was basic when he was in the jail, and they asked the question is like, if you got 2 buckets with
7 gallons,
7 gallons.
With 7 gallons, one with
2
gallons. How many
2 gallons and 7 gallons? How many buckets
do you have?
He's like 2. oh my God, he's so smart. He's like, it was basic questions that nobody knows except him. And that's where we get the introduction of probably one of the greatest names of all time, man. I got to say the full name of Wayne Alonzo Mountain Dew Herbert Camacho.
Terry Crews, I love him.
He comes out 5-time SmackDown champion. Like, he is probably, of all the people in the movie, he may be intellectually like not even there, but he still has a character. He still has personality.
You know what to say?
And he's smart enough to know that this guy Joe, I need him on my side.
And you know what's the sad thing?
What?
We have nowadays politicians that are not all of them intelligent, but they probably have a higher IQ than Camacho has. However, Camacho, even though in the future that this character may be stupid, he still means well. He still wants to have like solutions to these problems, which actually makes him still a better president than most presidents in the world nowadays.
The problem with Camacho is, while he means well, and he wants somebody to help him with the crop situation, he still falls on that mentality of being an over-the-top persona. And when things didn't go well for Joe when it comes to the crops and Brando suffering, he said, well, we got to throw him into rehabilitation. And he's like, oh, rehabilitation? That's not that bad. Like, what can happen in rehabilitation? The news report was funny as fuck.
Yeah. Even there was like this after credit scene.
Yeah. But the whole thing is, the whole pitchfork mentality is always going to be there regardless.
Yeah.
Smart or idiotic. It's always going to be there. And the whole scene with rehabilitation, this is where the CGI comes in, and I like how you got all these monster trucks, and they give him the smallest vehicle possible with the most flaccid ass. We didn't even talk about the whole thing with their favorite movie.
Next week we're gonna review Butts.
But the whole rehabilitation scene was just fantastic because it really showed the mentality of how entertainment has warped their minds to the point where rehabilitation is supposed to be about relearning or being, treated to something and saying, giving your thoughts on this and try and make you better. We need to rehabilitate you. Here it's like you're gonna fight to the death.
Which actually, when you think about how rehabilitation especially works like in the US prison system,
it's terrible.
It's like, isn't actually not you can see from that system that idea with monster trucks and the public execution basically spawning. Which is basically in between is the Running Man.
Like you got the prison system form of rehabilitation, and then you got rehabilitation when it comes to like drugs and stuff like that, drug rehabilitation centers. So rehabilitation comes in many different forms, but the way they do it in this film is like you gotta fight to the death. And it's like, well, damn, what the fuck, man? Y'all think I'm the smartest guy in the world, and then when I make a decision that's supposed to help and it's gonna help, y'all come at me and throw me in this whole fight to the death with monster trucks, 2 monster trucks, and 1 gigantic, big ass monster truck.
But which is actually also one of the more realistic parts of the film is when you work in a corporation and you're intelligent, never show that you're intelligent. It will always backfire.
But I always have an issue with that. That's like telling somebody to be honest and truthful when in actuality they want you to be dishonest and they want you to lie. Because nobody is 100% honest and truthful, because even that can be a disservice to somebody.
I remember when I was working my first job after business school and before I went to study, and I was working in a forwarding agency, like in a bureau, and we had my boss invited like other companies, and my boss, as probably anybody in the forwarding agency, is like a huge ass liar, and like I saw like 2 of the biggest liars bullshitting each other and telling each other how it's important is to be honest. And I was just sitting there as like, so this is how the world works. Like 18-year-old me, like
what are you always taught as a kid?
Don't lie.
Never lie.
I was talking to a colleague of mine. I was like, Nico, like, you know, all my childhood, my parents, the teachers, everybody told me I should be honest, I shouldn't lie. And then I see this. It's like,
and they tell you to be honest, they tell you to never lie. But there's times where people are too honest and it backfires on them because they were being honest. And then when you lie,
welcome to my world.
Yeah, and then when you lie, people sit on you, but the same people that sit on you for lying, they lie themselves. Yeah. So it's like, the whole point of being truthful and telling the truth and being honest, they always find a way to use it against you. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm just being 100% honest. Like, if I'm gonna be honest about this product, this shit sucks. Yeah, and then well, it's time to drop your sponsorships because you told the truth.
I buried myself in the past very often for being too honest.
Hey, V, that's why we're friends, man. That's why we do this show. You don't bullshit.
I remember. Yeah, I know. I remember the first time when I watched the Dave Chappelle show on Comedy Central, and it's like, you know, when keeping it real
goes wrong.
Goes wrong. It's like, yeah, that's me.
Hey, sometimes we keep it too real. You can't keep it real in the confines of office. You know, Dave, that was a great job, man. Give me some skin. You're like,
yeah. I just hate bullshitting. You know, this is like a thing like deep in me. Then I always, you know, when I talk with my boss, like, and it's like even ask like, are you really happy? You know, basically just working like behind like and doing like everything. Like, yeah, it makes me happy. Like, the less people I have to interact with, the happier I am.
I'll say this. I had a moment early in the year where, you know, my supervisor, you know, he was a driver that got upgraded to supervisor, and, you know, I was told something, and, you know, they told me this and that all the damn time to the point where I got sick of it. So I went into his office and I finally took a stand. And I said, I'm standing on business with what I got to say. Now, that could either go one way or completely go another way. But the dude actually respected me for coming into and saying that, and then we sat down and we talked it out and stuff like that. I told him how I felt, you know, what was going on with the job, and he was like, "Man, I needed this, Sean, because everybody else come at me with all this stuff, but I needed this from you because I don't really talk to you that much. So sometimes you have to stand up to something for your rights, and then you have to do it in a way where you get that attention, where they give you respect. Because some people, if you don't step to them, if you don't do this, they'll lose respect for you because they like, he's just a pushover. He ain't gonna do nothing about this stuff. So sometimes you have to be affirmative.
It's very important. And of course, like over the decades, over the years, you also learn that it's very important to do that, but also to do it like in a proper way, like to choose the words carefully.
Yeah, I chose my word, but it was the standing on business part that I was like, maybe somebody else would have took that the wrong way. But he respected my honesty. He respected me coming down and talking about it, and he said, "I'm gonna help you out." So certain people will give you that respect, and then certain people will take it the wrong way. Like, who you coming in here talking about you standing on business?
And exactly, this strategy is also something that Aristotle already wrote, like in his Rhetorics. So, like I said, everything we know nowadays, what is between like humans communication, ancient Greeks already had it.
Yeah. So sometimes when you get put, because again, I'm the type of person, I do my job. But I'm 41 years old now. I'm not gonna work hard for other people's mess ups.
Yes.
And when I was younger, I just did what I did. There are times where they came to me. I was the most reliable guy on the floor at previous jobs, so they would come to me and tell me to fix this mess. But I ain't trying to be Mr. Fix-It.
Yes, exactly. Especially, nobody's gonna thank you in the long run. And I always say, in the future, like before we breath our last breath, our final thoughts will not be, should have worked more in that.
So like I said, the whole honesty and lies, telling the truth and stuff, it goes both ways, man. Like if you're honest with yourself and you honest with other people, some people will respect that honesty. Other people won't respect the honesty.
Yes.
And you still going to get shaft, like to say that I was honest and they still hate me.
At the end of the day, I think it's, of course, like you don't want to keep it too real so that it goes wrong. But I think at the end of the day, one of the most important things for everybody, of course, you have to secure like your way of living. That of course comes first. But when you have like the choice, then you always have to go the route that you can look in the mirror and be proud of yourself. I think there's something very important, which like I started to do like in my early 20s, when just saying, I have like a secure fundament, and from this point on, I really want to be true to myself and not betray me.
Yep. And when you look at Joe, aka Not Sure, that's why I got Not Sure for president. He was honest with himself, and he knows that he was the smartest person. But in this situation, he did the right thing with the crops, and he did everything he could to survive the monster truck battle. And once they got the video footage of the crops, because Rita sent the cameraman and Frito out to get video of the crops, they got sidetracked by Starbucks.
Yeah.
Guys like that, they love money, they love sex, and they like their little...
Yeah. As you say, actually, this is something that I really liked about this movie. That, the Joe's character, in the hands of another director, he would be the most mediocre man, like in the beginning, and then suddenly in the future he would be like hyper intelligent. Actually, I really love in this movie that stood by that he didn't know all the answers. He was just like trying to figuring it out with an average knowledge of something.
Yeah. I like the whole thing with Rita and Joe. Like they interject this little thing with them, but she wasn't honest with him with her past life. She never told him that. She just let it fly and stuff like that. But she realized she
was not such a talented painter.
But she realized how good Joe is because Joe sprung her out, and got her a pardon. When he was in the office, and so she was always indebted to him.
Yeah, I love the charges for the putting up.
And that dude, they love money so much that the guy who was hitting on her while she was at the phone, they're like, man, I'll wait for you for 2 days, man. Here, take this money, man. I'll wait. She realized how easy she can con them out of their cash. I was like, oh, this might be a nice environment for them. Oh, man.
But boy, we're already 1 hour 11 minutes.
Hey, that's the thing with this film. There's a lot to dissect and a lot of things that we can talk about reality in our lives with what this movie is telling.
Exactly. I think I just recommend everybody to watch this movie. It's not the best movie ever. Actually, it's a very average movie by itself. Well crafted, etc. But yeah, just like Joe, average. However, the talking points you can get for it and the way to I really hope that everybody is intelligent enough to have also be self-aware of some of the things mentioned in the film and see hey, is this something that I see in my life on a daily basis, and can I change something for the better? So I still think that this movie is not so much something you enjoy as a movie per se. It's still entertaining, but it's a movie that is average but leads to a lot of conversation. Yeah. And to me, it's a conversation starter. Yeah, it's a conversation starter, and it really highlights from 2006 to now. They're like, well, damn, man, there's some points in this film that's important when it comes to. Oh yeah. Also, was interesting because actually it was the first time I watched it in English. Of course, back in the day I saw it in German, so it's was
the German title the same?
It's Idiocracy, but it just says Intelligenz ist in der Zukunft ausgestorben. So basically, intelligence went extinct in the future.
Oh my god! But yeah. Office Space.
Somebody got a case of the Mondays.
But Office Space is another great film by Mike Judge. Like I said, we gotta talk Beavis and Butthead to America and stuff.
Oh yes, this is really. What the great thing about Beavis and Butthead to America is, I watched it when I was either 13 or 14 years old because of course everybody loved Beavis and Butthead on MTV, and I loved this movie. It was hilarious. And later when I rewatched it as an adult, and even later when I rewatched it as an adult with an education, it was enjoyable for same reason. It's still funny. Yes. Bang Julia. This is the funny all the small reasons, but you also appreciate it for the satirical aspect of American society. And Beavis and Butthead to America is just chef's kiss.
So I'll ask you, do you want to talk that next week then?
Hell yeah, I want to rewatch it.
Let's do it. Back-to-back weeks of Mike Judge. And then we'll be off that the following week, right?
Gonna get in there. Yeah, because I'm in Prague. Yeah, then I'm gonna get into my newest wagon and masturbate there.
But yeah, there's some stuff that we didn't cover, but I still think Idiocracy is a really enjoyable film. Like you said, it's an average film, but it has a deeper meaning behind it.
Exactly.
And the fact that we had conversations on life situations tied to this film is important as well. So
and once again, my message for everybody is: doesn't matter who you vote for, doesn't matter if you vote at all. Like, I'm not judging you by that. I'm just judging you by, are you an asshole or you're not an asshole in real life? And there's plenty of assholes on every side, and there's plenty of good people on every side.
And also in the future, maybe for next year, before Election Day, we gotta talk The Distinguished Gentleman, an underrated Eddie Murphy film.
Yes, which actually I have not seen, so...
It deals with politics and Chuck Johnson. But yeah, we gotta talk that film. But other than that, it was a great conversation, very spirited conversation.
Yes.
And I always enjoy those.
The only thing I hope is that things gonna be less shite as they have been with. It doesn't matter who wins. Yeah.
I do miss the days where we didn't have social media as kids when we were young, and we just went out and enjoyed life and not have to worry about anything that happened in the world. Now we're seeing everything in front of us, and whether good or bad, it's like it controls us.
Yeah, and then back in the days, the only problem, like in Beavis and Butthead, just want to score.
That's it. We got to score. We got to score. Yeah. Score. So with that in mind, I want to shout out to Don J, man. He has some great stuff in there. Also Al, Dusty Britt Brown and Kenneth. Thanks for stopping by. Great discussion, and we will see you next week.
Next weekend.
Peace out, y'all. Have a great weekend, and make sure you vote.